So again, I went in and I can also, so Pear Deck gives me the option to open a presentation link, and I can grab that code. So you can get into the session by giving students a code. So here's even another way to get a join code. So if you click on that, and I will show you again, Melissa, how we add Pear Deck too. Okay, so here we are projecting this code, and I can go in now and I can see that I have 54 students in my class, and I can see the responses to this first slide. I'm going to move to the next slide. What do you wonder about Pear Deck? Right now, what you're seeing on your screen is the teacher dashboard. So as the teacher, I'm seeing the responses in real time. This is a view I probably wouldn't share with my students, right? This is just a view that you would have. You could open this up on another device, but in real time, you have some great information. Like I can see that I maybe need to check in with Melissa because when she signed in, she doesn't look like she's having a great day. So I want to check in with her, or it already just gives me some great information with my icons. And we'll come back to this page. But this is the presentation. So if I had a projector or if I was doing a Google Meet, I would be right here in this presentation tab. And this is how I would access the presentation with students. So let's kind of look at how that looks different. So if I pull this tab out, then I've got my dashboard, my teacher dashboard view that I can interact and kind of see in real time how students are responding. But then I've also got my presentation tab that I can just have up on my screen or on my projector. Okay, so down here, here's my my toolbar as a presenter, as a teacher, and so I can go to the next bar, the next question type. This is a drag and drop question, so you can actually kind of see how that goes. So as students, and I can see that one in real time too. It looks like this. So again, here's my teacher dashboard, and I can see an overlay, so I can see how the whole class is responding, or I can see the grid view and just see each student, how they're responding to this drag and drop. And I can scroll through the students and check and see. And this is actually a nice social emotional slide to add to, just check in with your kids and see how they're doing. Right? So then I'm going to go back to my presentation slide and go to the next slide. So I thought this might be interesting. What are you guys doing? How are you surviving? It looks like a lot of you are downloading on overdrive from DPS. Our stats are skyrocketing. So that's great news. Kids and teachers are really utilizing that. But as you're answering that, then as a teacher, I'm seeing these answers, right? So I've got Netflix, unfinished projects, gaming. One thing that's kind of interesting is if I click on the stars, I can, that's what I can add. So if, let me click on a couple. Let's see. And then if I say show responses and I go back to my presentation mode, then you can see responses and we could discuss those as a class. But you'll notice you're not seeing any responses, any kids' names. You're just seeing a response that we could talk about, right? So that's kind of amazing with Pear Deck, okay? So you've seen a couple of different question types. Let's try student pace mode. So what you just experienced was the teacher was totally in control. of the presentation and what was going on in real time. Everyone was in the same slide at the same time, giving their answers. But what if we move that to student paced? So to do that, I go down to my toolbar at the bottom and I go to the 3 dots. And it gives me some options, and one of them is to turn on student paced. So I'm going to turn that on, and it gives me a little message. Your students reminds me they're in student paced mode. And now you can click through the slides at your own pace. So go ahead and do that. And as you are doing, as you are working through at your own pace, I can actually see your responses and see that in real time, how you're doing, what you're answering on each of the slides. So it looks like I've only had a few people, and you notice that I'm moving between views in my teacher dashboard. So here I can see each student. In the grid view, I can see it opens up so I can kind of see a thumbnail view of everybody, see where they're at. And in this, if I overlay, I can see everybody's answer on top of one another. And some of these, like the math ones, I really like that. This tells me when I'm looking at this view that I probably need to check in with Taylor and maybe Austin. We need a little reteaching around the graphing, right? So you can quickly see who is having trouble and who do I need to check in with. But I could also share those responses. So you're moving through at your own pace. I have a few people who've made it to the self-portrait. In the drawing slide, you will have noticed that you have a toolbar with lots of colors. You can add text. You can really engage with that slide with your drawing tools. If you notice, farthest to your left, the black dot, you can change the width of your pen. So it can look more like a pencil or a marker. But I see some pretty nice self-portraits there. So I am seeing, this is what I'm seeing in the teacher dashboard, but you are seeing, you are just able to go through the presentation on your own, and I am not controlling that anymore, okay? So once we're done with the session, a couple of things to notice. When I pull up my toolbar, I can click on leave the session, and that means I can leave it, but student presentation mode is still on. I can turn off student paced mode. Leave the session means student paced mode is still on. I just left. I can turn off student paced, or I can end the session. So I can leave student paced mode on for several days, up to 30 days, and just go whatever timeline I think that my students will need. And I think in the premium version, that it will stay on as long as you leave it on. So unless you go in and turn it off, it will stay on. So once I've gotten to this point, I'm going to end the session. So I'm going to click end session, and my session is currently in student pace mode. Are you sure you want to end? I can say yes, I'm sure, or I can leave and allow. I'm actually going to go back, probably model for you, to first turn off student paced and then end the session. So now I'm going to end, and a really good best practices is to name your sessions. So if you'll notice, there is an option to publish student takeaways. So a student takeaway, Pear Deck takes all of your slides, puts it in a document, takes each student's answer, and gives them their own answer. And then they have a document in their Google Drive with the question and with their answer. And they can also add more notes to this. So this can even go further. You can add this make this assignment an extension if you want them to add more information. It'll also share straight to your Google Classroom if you want. Okay? So what do the takeaways look like? So I'm going to show you an example. I did a webinar the other night, and they sent me, Pear Deck sent me a takeaway. And so it actually showed up. Here were the slides. This is how I answered. And then down here, I can add my own notes. So if you give your students the takeaways, this is what they will get. And so it's a great resource, right? You could even continue to add this. It's a Google Doc. They can share it with you. Turn this into Google Classroom if you wanted them to interact with this further, but at least they have a record of what they added in. Okay? All right. So let's check in. Are there any questions?
I just posted a question on the comments. With the takeaways, could we talk more about, like, what does that look like for students? If I send out that link, does everybody have access to that, or is it one link per student? How does that work?
Every student gets their own copy. So it just looks like every student, so this is just my copy. So I don't see the answers that other students added. It's just my response. So this is what the students will get, the slide and then my response to that. You know, whatever your student responded, that's what they get. So
Laura, Jessica Schiniger from Lincoln here.
yeah.
I have used Pear Deck, and when I have, it's been the student takeaways. When I publish those, they also copy to my Google Drive. I don't know if I missed you saying this, but they copy to my Google Drive, and then that's how I grade their work. Am I doing that right? Am I thinking through that right, or is there a better way to grade the student's work? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean?
It's a total option to do it that way, and it will all go, just so everyone knows, it will all go into one folder in your Google Drive, so it won't, you know, make your Google Drive crazy. But you can also, for some reason, you can also go back in and check out your, this seems to be in a loop for me, so let me start over. You can go to Pear Deck and sign in to Pear Deck and review your sessions and get them that way. So that's probably what I would do. I just want to go to Pear Deck.
Oh, wow. I never knew that. That's really cool.
Yeah. So if I go in to Pear Deck and I log in, then I can just go to my sessions, and there are all my sessions right there. And I can start it right over. So here's the session we're in right now. I can go to the teacher dashboard. I can end the session. I can rename the session. I can archive the session. So you can see that I still have some student paste that are open, some sessions. So you have access to that. You can open it right up and see everything just like you do in the teacher dashboard. So you're really opening up your dashboard, and then you can see all of the answers. And that's probably easier to grade from there than to grade from each of those slides or each of those takeaways, right? So even though I've closed the session, I still have a record of everyone's responses today that we just did.
Yeah, that's way easier. Thank you.
Yeah, it is a lot easier. Okay. Another, an easier way even to get to that, just because if you go to the 3 lines, your hamburger, menu inside of Pear Deck. You can open that up, and if you go right here to review sessions, it'll take you straight to your review sessions. So you don't even have to go find it. So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good. Thank you.
Sure. All right, so now we have experienced this as a student. I'm going to play a little short video just to recap what this looked like inside of Pear Deck. So maybe that'll answer a few questions. They figured out their marketing, haven't they? So you turn on the student pace mode just like we did.
Student screens automatically stay in sync with yours. But sometimes you may want students to move through slides at their own pace, like when you want them to take a quiz, do a small group activity, or complete a Pear Deck as homework. In those cases, you can toggle your presentation to student pace mode from the menu on your navigation bar. While students are working at their own pace, you can still observe their work by opening your teacher dashboard. Click from slide to slide to see student responses. Since students are controlling their own pace, their slides will not sync to yours as you navigate. You can see exactly who is on each slide by hovering over the thumbnails. This will help you gauge how quickly students are moving through the material and see if anyone is getting hung up on a particular slide. As students answer, you can be preparing for the future discussion you'll have about their responses. When you see an answer you want to discuss, go ahead and star it. Only the answers you've starred will show up when you click Show Responses. When you're ready for students to be back in sync with you, just click Stop Student Paste. Their screens will instantly jump to the slide you're on. If you want students to complete the questions as homework, simply leave the session open. Click the menu on your navigation bar, then edit the session name so you can easily find it later. Finally, click Leave Session. This allows you to close your window, but students will still be able to join the session and complete the work. When you want to get back to a session that's still live in student pace mode, you can find it by going to your Pear Deck home where you can see your most recent file. Click on the file you were presenting. There will be a list of all the times you presented this file. Find the session you want and click either the projector or dashboard icons to get back into it. You can also click the three-dot menu for more options.
So kind of a nice little review of what we just did. And that's there for you to remind you of how student paced works and that and how you can get to their answers and really check on things. So let's talk about how to get into Pear Deck and how to start that. All right. So when you open Pear Deck again is an add-on to your Google Slides. So you go to Add-on, Pear Deck, and let's kind of look at that. So there is a link in the Q&A, but also I can go here to add-ons. I can go to Get Add-ons, and I don't even have to search for Pear Deck. It's so popular it shows up. So you can just click on the Pear Deck add-on and install it. And then once it's installed, then it shows up in the add-ons. You go to Pear Deck, open Pear Deck, and your toolbar shows up. All right. Once your toolbar is here, you have all kinds of options in your toolbar. So Pear Deck has its own template library. They really make using Pear Deck easier. I have some teachers who only use the template library, but they have slides for the beginning of your lesson. And once you add these slides, so if I added this slide, if I wanted to add that to my slide deck, I would just click on it, and you'll notice over here it's just going to show up magically in my list, and I can change this. This is now mine. And I can make this whatever I want, but you'll notice that Perry's at the bottom and it tells me what kind of slide it is that students will write their response. So I know that that's the kind of slide. And Pear Deck has beginning of the lesson slides, during the lesson, end of the lesson, some exit tickets. But there are also slide decks around critical thinking, social emotional learning, math, science. I got the graph question out of the math slides. So these are all in here, and you can just add those to your presentation and then edit them and put your own directions in and make them your own. So all kinds of options to add ready-made slides to your slide deck. But Pear Deck also gives you the capability of creating your own slide. So let's say, so down here, I can just add the interactive magic of Pear Deck to any slide. So let's just say I'm in my slide deck and I add a new slide. So here's my blank slide. And I can choose. So I can add any of these interactive features. I can put directions here. So and then maybe I want to make this a drawing slide. So I'm just going to click on draw. Pear Deck waves its little magic Pear Deck wand and turns my blank Google slide into a drawing slide. And I know that it's a drawing slide because Perry's down here at the bottom with his artist palette, and it says students can draw anywhere. So when I see Perry and when I see this gray bar down here, that's where I know, that's how I know that this slide is interactive, but I also know what the interaction is. So I know that this is a drawing slide and that students will get that drawing bar with all the different colors of the paint palette and the ability to add text. So that's how I can make my own slide. Let's stop for a minute and see if there's any questions about creating your own slide or getting into Pear Deck. Everybody feel good about that? Joseph, watching the video, if you watch it from your screen, that means you're in real time. You can, one of the options is to just, so if I go in, I can, one of my options is a website. So I could put a YouTube video or a video that I want the kids to watch, and it will just show up in their Pear Deck lesson. And they can just click on that link so they can watch the video. One more time, how Pear Deck is installed? Sure. And you guys can unmute yourselves and ask questions as well, if you would like. So once you go to inside, and it has to be inside of Google Slides. So I'm in a Google Slide Deck. I go to add-ons, get add-ons. And then I can either search for Pear Deck, but it should just show up because these add-ons show up by popularity, and Pear Deck is very popular. So then once I click on that, then I can, this should say for you to install. And then once you install it, it should show up in your list of add-ons as a Pear Deck for Google Slides add-on. You open that, and then you're opening this toolbar. Okay. All right. We ready to go on? Any other questions?
Remember just to make sure that you have your microphone muted. Please make sure your microphone is muted.
Why are you doing? Why did you do
Because I
that?
have to do these trainings.
Laura, I'm not sure who it is. I can't tell.
I don't want to
know either. Like if I'm.
Well, then don't do that.
Can you make sure that your microphone is muted?
I'm showing everyone muted in my list
I
except.
know, I can't
do
figure
a
it
fun
out
time
either.
last night, huh?
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, so let's go back to our slide deck. So, and we walked through this a little bit, but there are pre-made templates. So this slide deck is really a resource for you to just remind you. Social emotional learning slides might be really important right now. Check in with your kids. How are they feeling? What's going on with them? You can make your own slides. We just demonstrated that, but know that you have all these different kinds of slide types. And this is just an interaction that you're adding to your slide. You can put an image on a slide. You can put text on a slide, whatever you want on your slide, then you're just adding the interaction to that slide. For example, let's just look at this. We had one in the last session. We just made this on the fly. We added this picture of the of some dogs, and we created a drag and drop. So the students are just asked to drag the flag up to the beagle, and you could keep adding directions in here, right? And then, so I'm really just made it my own slide, but I've added this interactive drag and drop to the slide. So lots of ideas. This is my picture, my text, and this, the only thing that came from Pear Deck is just the draggable feature and the interactivity down here. All right, and I'm happy to demo any of those if people want to see how those different question types are created. When you present with Pear Deck, one thing to notice, they're kind of right on top of each other. The white present is just the normal Google Slides present. That does not give you the Pear Deck magic, so you want to make sure you click on the green present lesson and start your presentation from that icon, from that button, and then that will start your Pear Deck lesson. You can invite your students with the join code. They can go to joinpd.com and you can give them the code. You can also give them the link and invite them. You can also, if you're using Google Classroom, once you've opened up Pear Deck, go straight inviting your class and go right into Google Classroom. So you've got lots of ways to share with students the ability to get into your presentation. So this kind of gives you that option again. Really look for the link to copy into your Google Classroom or into your Schoology, or just send them to Join PD. You can also open the teacher dashboard right from that first page. So in here, you'll notice there's open teacher dashboard. So you can start that from the very beginning. So lots of information right on this Join PD page before anything even starts to get you going. And then again, down on the three dots. So your toolbar for Pear Deck runs across the bottom, hit the three dots, and that's where you'll find student paste. So how would you guys use remote learning? And any other questions? We have a minute.
I think there's a question about,
It has a guy with purple skin.
okay,
Okay.
I'm going to say this out loud really quickly. Someone is on and not muted, and we can hear you in the background. Can you please mute your microphone? You're talking to your child in the conversation here. I'm not sure who it is. I can't find it, Laura. I've looked.
I have too. I only see you open. It's weird.
I know.
And then it will go off like that every once in a while. Questions about?
I think some people are installing the extension and it's not showing up. Give it a little time. I think Google is working on overdrive right now. So just give it a time. You might have to refresh your computer once you're off here. I just think we're pulling a lot of things from Google. We're not the only district. So hang in there. I think it'll work.
Right. I noticed that in my last session, we were down a little bit. I think the whole world is trying to figure out remote learning, right? Okay.
I think too, Laura, the other thing about hearing your kids present, you wouldn't hear them in Pear Deck, but if you did a Google Hangout, or Google Meet, they could talk, but you're not going to hear them in Pear Deck. There is no voice option.
There's no voice option in Pear Deck. You could add, so remember, these are your slides, right? So you could add maybe a Vocaroo or something, or a little video if you wanted students to hear from you, but they can't respond back to you using audio. Okay. All right. This is the Rockstar group. So we'll walk through, here's your premium Pear Deck access. You should get an email later today, but if you don't want to wait for that, here it is. And you can just click on that and register and get your COVID-19 access to the premium Pear Deck. And again, here's how you get to your add-ons and allow Google. That's how it will look once you get in. There is an extra add-on, and if you're going to use GIFs or animations or a lot of videos, it will be worth adding the Power Up extension, and I've put the label here, or the co-label. I put the link here to get to that. So go straight to your Chrome Web Store, and you can add this Pear Deck Power Up. And that looks like this, so it shows up right here as an add-on. And once you add on the Power Up, it just runs in the background, but it does make your GIFs and your videos run more clear and quickly, and we've liked this. That's been a way that Pear Deck has tried to make our presentations run better. So you may want to add that on as well. And that's just a one-time thing. You never have to worry about that again. Remember to allow takeaways and think about what you're doing with the takeaways. You don't ever have to look at these again, but you could ask students to add information. They could share it with you. They could share it with each other and give feedback to each other. It really is just giving students a Google Doc with their responses to the session, right? And then we just want to make sure that you have lots of resources and ideas, and that you know how this looks. So in Pear Deck, and you have this resource, there really are 3 screens, just as a reminder. There's the student view, so this is what kids see. So if I had the question around that just had a short answer, then this is what the students would see with their answer here. This is what I would put up on the projector, or the projector view on my computer if I were doing a Google Meet. And then if I had my dashboard open, then that's when I can see all the student answers. And I would really encourage you to get an iPad, get another Chromebook, and open up the dashboard on another device if you're running a Google Meet or doing something in real time. It just makes it easier for you to go back and forth. And then you can see what's happening in real time. And in your teacher dashboard, you can even, if you notice at the bottom, that view on the dashboard, you can run, you can add those arrow keys and move the slides from your dashboard view too. So you don't even have to go to your projector view to control your presentation. Again, teacher dashboard can hide and star responses, and the responses that are starred, then I can go down and show responses, and those responses will show up without the student names in the projector view. So that's what you're doing when you do that. You should get all of these options in your premium account. The only time I really use lock screens usually is sometimes when students are in a drag and drop slide. If you're in real time, they'll keep dragging it around. So I'll give them a 3, 2, 1 and lock the screen. And so you have all these options in premium. Again, you can tell a slide is interactive if you see Perry, and you can see Perry has a different kind of icon on every slide. This is a drawing slide, this is a drag, the icon slide, and this is a write your response. And then you just have this bar across the bottom of the slide. So you know that that slide's an interactive, and not every slide in your presentation needs to be interactive. You can just have informational slides. Every third slide can be interactive. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to have interactivity on every slide, right? And then we kind of walked through this, and draw and drags question types are premium, but you have access to all of those. So you should be able to create all of these different question types. And again, here's another view of the projector view, the dashboard, and the student view of a different question type. Multiple choice, how that looks. So we tried to really show you how these different question types look in all three views. The number question type, I like this one when I'm working with students in real time, because I can see this number line show up, and I can quickly see if we're all understanding this concept in the same way, right? And then I can also see each student's answer. This is how a website looks. So somebody asked about if you want to add an ed puzzle, if you want to add a link to a website, to a database article, anything that has a URL address, this is how it will look for students. So it will show up with, here's the website, and then here's the directions over here. So all you do is, and this is how it shows up for the kids. And they can just interact with the website inside of the slide, or they can go down and click on the link. The link is live in the bar at the bottom with Perry. So that, but this, if they click down here, it will open a second tab and take them out of the presentation. But that's how it looks. They've tried to make this, I think, as easy as possible. This is what the drawing slide, the drawing question type looks like. So the students all get this drawing slide with the different palette. This is the one that if you click on that, that will adjust how wide or narrow your pen is. And then they can also add text or erase. And then this is the dashboard of what you see of the student view. So the students drew over the top of this slide, and you will see their answers. Draggable slide, so this one's kind of fun, and we might do this one live. You can add as many draggable features onto a slide as you want. It doesn't just have to be one. And we might open that up. And then we also have more resources for you on student takeaways, other sessions, more information on using the dashboard. Once we get back with everybody in class, we'll do Flashcard Factory together, but we really need people together so we can pair up with Flashcard Factory. But again, really try your dashboard on another device. So it just makes it easy. Once you log in, just go here to peardeck.com- and it will automatically grab the session that you're in, that you have open, your most recently open one, and you'll have that open on your iPad, and then you've got your two devices or your Chromebook or whatever else you have, or your phone. And then we talked about accessing sessions, right? And how to view the data in your sessions. There is an option to export to spreadsheet. The export to spreadsheet, it doesn't give you pictures. It doesn't give you the thumbnail of the drawing slides. So it's a little bit limited in that way. I usually like to just open up the dashboard view to record, to see what my students responded. And then there are other resources. So let's look at a couple of question types, maybe. We have a couple more minutes. Before I do that, are there any other questions? How we doing? Okay,
I think I kept up pretty well with questions as far as I can tell.
Okay.
I think I've been through most of them. So.
Oh, great. Okay, we have a couple more minutes, so let's just try. We've had these questions before, and I think it helps to just see. So let's say I'm in my slideshow and I want to add a slide. I want to add some kind of a draggable slide. So I'm going to add a slide. I'm going to say, these are my directions, and maybe it's just as simple as inserting a map, right? You can grab a map and insert that. So now I've created my slide. I have some directions. I have a world map, and I can make that as large as I want. You can mess around with that. We're funny. And so I've got my directions and my map, and I'm going to make this into a draggable slide. So let's say I just went over here and clicked on draggable. So Pear Deck does its magic, but I have to do a little bit. So here's my slide. Right now I only have a dot. So if I had more directions, like maybe put your icon, put the flag on Australia, I can add another, and I can change the color, and I can also change the icon. So maybe I want a flag. And if I add another, then maybe I want a heart. I want that to be purple. So I can keep adding that, then update the slide. And then at the bottom, in my Pear Deck magic, I have 3 things that I've added. So Australia, you get the idea, right? And then the students would drag these to the right spot on their map. So that's how you make one of your slides into a draggable slide. And so each slide kind of has its own little thing that you have to do to create it. On the multiple choice, you just add the answers that you're looking for. On the website, you just add the URL. So you're really just taking your slide and adding a little bit of Pear Deck magic. So I hope that helps. We are just about out of time. There's a survey, a link to the survey here, but also a link to the survey in the question and answer doc. We'd love to get some feedback from you. We're all new to this whole remote learning thing too. We like sitting with you, so we want to know how we can best meet your needs. And please know that we are on your side. Find your digital coach. On the slide at the bottom, there's a link to finding your digital coach. So if you don't know who your digital or regional coach is, you can click there and find them and ask them for answers. But we are all committed to helping you. Can email us or reach out to us, and we really want to help you succeed. We are here and on your side. So I hope you've had a great day of learning. Any other questions?
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you. You have lots of resources and ideas in the links too to back you up. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. That was our lesson for the day, Alba. This is usually the time that we meet, isn't it? All right.
Laura,
Yes,
I've never figured out that issue we had.
I didn't either.
You think it's a call-in?
Ah,
Ah, that's what I'm wondering now.